Welcome to this episode of the 502 Report. The Speed Museum closed 3 years ago for renovation. Now its doors are once again open to the public. Take a look at the transformation.
We understand that the only things that survive across centuries of human existence are the products of human creativity. This building is going to be a living testament to that essential truth, that the product of human creativity is what sustains us, which represents our traditions and our cultures across time.
And welcome back to the Speed Art Museum after 3 long years of being closed. If you really want to have the next generation, which is a global generation, to be ready, and if you just leave that to CNN, no offense to CNN, but it's not the best place really to learn about the diversity of the world. Here, an institution or an organization like us is neutral. I am not a political, I'm not religious, I'm not educational. It's a neutral place where you could really express yourself, but learn. You could create controversy, you could create dialogue. And what is the most important for the next generation is to learn about the rest of the world, to learn about differences between us, and to be more accepting of differences, and to really make the world a better place. And we have that role, and I'm really transforming the mission of a museum from a temple of the art to be that hub of creativity where you could have a dialogue without any fear. That's what is important.
With the renovation of the museum and Guylain's focus on this becoming a 21st century art museum, we wanted there to be a 21st century learning space as well. So we're standing in the newly renovated Art Sparks. It's a space that's for all ages to help them all connect with art and with each other. It's broken down into 3 sections, focusing on noticing, making, and talking about art. The noticing section has exhibits that think about color, light, composition. The talking section has different card games and other games to get people really interacting and talking about works of art in the collection. And then the making section gives visitors a chance to make works of art on their own. School kids can come to the museum for guided tours and hands-on art making activities to help supplement what maybe they may not get in the classroom. We'll also have summer camps. We'll have workshops on Saturdays for adults and for kids, so giving anyone the chance to make art here at the museum. We don't want the museum to be a passive experience where you just come in, look at art, and move on. We want people to engage, really look closely, talk with people, get thinking about things in a different way, but definitely activating the museum and activating visitors when they're here.
Coming to a place like Louisville, I think it's important to not just think of the museum as an isolated institution, but as an activist, as a catalyst to be able to help to create a cultural network in the city as well as the region. And because of that, I think it's crucial. And that's why the museum, especially the new part, is designed to be very open, very transparent, because it assists the old building to open up to the surrounding. Museums were made as temples, right? Temples of art, and because of that, they're clad with the most expensive marble and limestone, and they're clad inside. But over the years, it becomes such a hurdle because it becomes so intimidating and also becomes so elitist. So that's something that we work very hard to change. What we talked about, which might sound slightly funny to you, I call it acupuncture architecture. And what it means is that it's not just something that you added on, right? This is not just an added on wing or limbs or a box, but the intervention that you do to a museum as all of the Speed from 1927, and really not only improve and expand it, but also rejuvenate and also clarify, just like human body. I really want it to be something contemporary, but at the same time respect and relate to the old building, both on the inside and outside. So inside you can see the metal panel of how the folded really derive from the moldings of the old building and how they relate together, especially if you see it from 3rd Street. I think that's quite strong. On the inside, I really want the flow to be very connecting. You feel seamless between the new building and the old building. And one of the compliments that I receive is people don't feel that they separate between old and the new. There's a seamless circulation and experience.
I can't imagine how they could be closed for 3.5 years and still, be able to come back this spectacularly. It was very bold on their part, and they have brought it off brilliantly.
We doubled the size, additional 72,000 square feet. We doubled the staff, and we doubled the operating budget. Did not double the endowment yet. So all of that gave us a fabulous capacity to hang more art. And what the public will see is technically 40% new.
What I want to do is to get people excited about the art, get them excited as I am excited about it, because that's what's great. It's that little detail that can hook you and have you coming back time and time again, and putting objects together in a way that will make sense to today's audiences, that they can start making their own connections without having to take giant intellectual leaps. We want it to be smart and engaging. We want to use humor to get our point across. Anything that can help people understand and appreciate art just a little bit more, and it makes their day a little brighter.
Oh, I like this. I could do this all day. Oh, look how beautiful.
The Speed Museum, when you're talking visual art, and there are a lot of fine galleries, but this is where it's centered. It all is going to grow out of this space in creating the kind of excitement about the visual arts that the Speed can kind of excite in people. That's going to be hugely important to the city.
We are this hub of creativity I've been talking about, and it's two things around that. Above the fact that I want you to be stimulated when you come in, I want you to come with your grandparents and so on. I really want a generational discussion, but it's again becoming that place of energy and creativity, and I want them to leave, go back home, think about it and come back and so on. But I really would love the country at large to really take an understanding that culture, art, creativity is vital for the next generation. So at least in Louisville, it's happening.
The architect of the Speed Museum is also investing in the community, bringing his creativity and energy to the Portland community.
We think the Portland neighborhood is amazing. And it has a history and a vibe and a culture that doesn't need to be augmented. That being said, there are issues. There's a lot of poverty. There are vacant and abandoned houses. There are big commercial buildings that have sat empty for a long time. The Portland Investment Initiative is a group of developers and creative entrepreneurs who are dedicated to improving life in the Portland neighborhood through affordable housing and commercial developments. I like to think of PI as an overall vision for the neighborhood, and within that vision, there are various efforts. Portland has about 1,400 vacant and abandoned properties. Our Artistro Portland effort is a residential outreach effort where we are buying abandoned houses. We will buy the worst house on the block and fix it up in a smart, budget-friendly way, and then rent it back out, hoping that that creates a positive ripple effect and helps encourage further investment.
We always try as much as possible just to leave those little details as they are.
We have rehabilitated 8 shotgun houses at this point. We're working on 3 more. Our goal is to rehab 25. Kulapat's been a great partner. He's a good friend of ours. He is actually a partner with us on this building, the Anchor building.
I'm doing the design for the facade and the front gardens.
The old Boys and Girls Club was originally built in 1953.
We want to redo the facade so that it's more welcoming to come in. We want to do garden and seating area in the front so that, when people see people, you feel like a sense of community. It's a place where people can hang out, it's a safe place for people to gather and enjoy.
The heritage of this building is a community center, and so we want it to feel open to the community. He also provided some design plans for a new shotgun for this ultra-modern 21st century shotgun house. That first house will be breaking ground this spring down a little bit east on Portland Avenue of our office. They could be Airbnbs, they could be sort of tourist attractions. We think for Portland to be the representation of itself that it wants to be, I think everyone sees that as full of life, with buildings that are vibrant and houses that have families in them, and that you have a neighbor next door to you rather than an abandoned house.
Walking through downtown Louisville is a little bit safer. About 70 traffic lights in the central business district now give pedestrians a head start before vehicles get a green light. The leading pedestrian intervals, or LPIs, have been shown to reduce pedestrian vehicle collisions by as much as 60%. You can also find LPIs in the Highlands and Old Louisville neighborhoods. When you think of libraries, you often think of books, but the Louisville Free Public Library is trying to change that. In March, they held a new event called the Living Library, bringing together a much more dynamic type of book.
To me, the library has always been a symbolic of knowledge. To gain knowledge, not just from the book, but from a person, carries what's written in the book to another level.
I believe that each one of us have our own individual stories, and if we look at ourselves as unique books, then we have a lot to offer.
Understanding veterans, it requires a genuine space for dialogue.
Libraries are places of learning, and you typically think of learning in libraries from books, but there are really many other ways that people learn, and one of those is interacting with your fellow human beings. Tonight we held the first living library here at the Louisville Free Public Library, and essentially what we had was a collection of living books. They were individuals from throughout the community who had unique stories to share and basically engaged in a conversation with folks who wanted to come in and learn more about their backgrounds.
I think just how willing people were to both tell their stories, some really hard stories too, but also to listen and to have one-on-one or one-on-three conversations about really personal topics.
One of the things we wanted to do was try to get a really diverse group of individuals so that much like when you walk into a library and you're looking at a bookshelf and you see all these different topics, same idea.
You have a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of experiences from all different backgrounds that we can share with one another and make our community a better place to be and a friendlier place to be. And I'm actually excited about doing this tonight, and I'm looking forward to see what will come out of it.
You could hear this kind of dull roar throughout the room and kind of this energy. Even as you're sitting and having a conversation with one of the living books, you're kind of looking around and hearing these other conversations take place, and it's just wonderful.
I don't care how well you write. I can't get those feelings and expressions if you was to tell me your story face to face. That's where the true knowledge and learning of a person comes from.
As a Shia Muslim coming from another country and living in this community, I can bring quite a bit of a different insight to share with my fellow citizens tonight.
The first group, I just talked to them quite a bit about, why I went into the military, what it was like at basic training. They asked some hard questions, the stereotype questions about serving and what that's like and what's it like for women.
Until I sit down and talk to people, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about. Every person has different issues, concerns, want to know different things. Next session, they may want to talk all about my job, which is fine. I pretty much let them dictate the course of the conversation.
This really takes it to the next level, where we really are building community by people talking to one another, not just with the person who's there to share the conversation, but there's a small group and you're really having this kind of conversation amongst each other and learning. And I think there's something special that happens when we learn together.
I think it's always important to have conversations that either make you feel uncomfortable or teach you something new, because how else are we going to, learn?
People are overly cautious about talking about what they feel, what they think, and it's okay to be wrong. That's how you learn to change your thought process, the whole critical thinking process.
You just never know what you say, how it can move somebody, no matter how small it is.
I know it sounds cliche to say if I only help one person, but it means something to that one person when you take the time to spend with them, help them, talk to them, just show them that you care.
If we can make that connection human to make our world a better place to be.
I'm gonna add the other part of what I learned just by being with you, and hopefully you learn something, by being with me, and how important that is to carry that beyond these walls.
You don't really know what to expect when you're first starting a program. It was really a wonderful, wonderful first response.
My main thing is just to empower people to engage in these type of sessions. Anytime they're out somewhere and have an opportunity to spend a little bit of time, take that brief moment, talk to that person, you might learn something.
We see changes every day.
Yeah, flower.
We have families from all over the world, really. Some are new to our city. Some have been here for longer times and wanting to come back. What they all have in common is that they want to work on English as a second language, and they have children that are not school age yet. Parents come in, we have pack time, with just parent and child together.
Right there.
Yellow. We work on teaching them things that we take for granted, even like when you go to the grocery store. You talk about the types of fruit and vegetables, you talk about the colors, counting, you name it.
And I have been working on other parents know about this wonderful program. I want to then know that I can change the way we see ourselves, our families, our community. And I want them to know that it teach us to work together, improve our skills.
Then in the afternoon, we have GED families. So not facing some of the challenges of learning the language, but many societal, parenting, social issues that we try to navigate through learning, and they all come wanting a better future for their kids. It's a great program. We're so excited to be a part of it, and we're excited to get new families coming in. We have openings, so we want to just get going and continue because it's invaluable.
To qualify for the Family Learning Program, you need to be a caregiver looking to earn an ESL or GED certificate. For more information, come into the main library branch at 301 York Street.
Not all bourbon has to come from Kentucky, it has to come from the United States, but of course we all know the best comes from Kentucky.
The unique businesses and attractions of South Louisville, like the beautiful Stitzel-Weller Distillery, are easy to find in the new 2016 South Point Scenic Area Map.
Could be taking a bike ride. We've got a big part of the Louisville Loop that goes through the south. We've got several lakes where you can kick back and go fishing as well, or just relax and go to one of our famous restaurants as well. So there's a lot to explore and a lot to do.
If you're looking to get your hands on a map, they're available at local businesses throughout the community, or you can find the information online at southpoints.org. Welcome to Riverside, the Farnsley Moremen Landing. Located about 13 miles southwest of downtown Louisville.
It operates as a historic house museum.
Originally built around 1837, this home is located on 300 acres of what was once a working plantation.
Both Gabriel Farnsley and the Moremen family owned slaves during that time period in our history, and they had a very successful business operation here.
Their fruit trees and crops like corn were traded or sold during the 1800s, along what was a bustling Ohio River.
It had an active riverboat landing. We're right on the Ohio River, so the Ohio River is central to the whole history of the site.
The two-story house was financed by Gabriel Farnsley and built brick by brick by his slaves.
Mr. Farnsleys are a little bit thinner than Mr. Moremen's.
Information like that has been collected with the discovery of thousands of artifacts since 1995. Because in addition to a historic plantation, it's now owned and operated by Metro Parks and serves as an active archaeological site.
They have been doing excavations here, helping us to understand the outbuilding complex that existed around the historic home.
Archaeology is a really integral part of the interpretation of the life of Mr. Farnsley and the Mormons, and it's a big part of the way Riverside is run.
For about 20 years, archaeologists with the Kentucky Archaeological Survey have been digging, sifting, and cataloging.
The main house did not have electricity or running water.
From January to April, you can tour Riverside, learn about its history.
1937, the river flooded, and we would have been standing underwater.
And even get your hands on it.
Those are old canning seals.
These folks took part in the other side of archaeology.
I think I found another nail.
Yeah, big one.
People get to handle things that were found in the dig and help be a part of that process as they clean them, catalog them, and analyze them.
Then they realize what they're doing and they learn about the artifacts, so they have a lot of fun doing it.
Looks like little stars.
It's the second year for the program that helps archaeologists clean and sort through the thousands of artifacts that come from the property.
It's not the digging part, which most people find to be the most fun, but this is probably one of the most important parts because we find out what we actually dug up. And we put it all into the database, and then we crunch the numbers to learn what we have. This place would have been filled with buildings.
In the 1800s, outbuildings weren't made to last.
They would get old and they'd have to be repaired, or they'd get tired of them and they'd move them.
So when the modern 20th century kitchen was removed from the back of the property, they went in search of the original one. And from their findings, they've built this.
I think it's one of the best archaeologically based reconstructions. When we dug, we found a drip line on each side. So we knew that the roof went that way. That's how we knew how the building looked.
It's from those footprints and the artifacts that remain that so much has been learned about the families who lived at Riverside.
Having a lock on basic necessities that a cook would need, maybe the cook had to ask for a key every time, or the cook actually had the key, was trusted enough to, we don't know. It really brings up some interesting questions.
What their daily lives were like.
If you had long skirts, you might catch fire. That's one of the reasons why the kitchens were not attached to the house. It informs the tours, what we do with the grounds, how things are laid out, all the activities that happen.
Taking a trip to Riverside, seeing the table set as it would have been.
Forks were a little bit different.
And clothes laid out for the day.
They probably didn't have many clothes, 2 or 3 dresses.
It's like peeking into the window of the past.
There was no time that people were idle.
Learning about the lives of family members who lived there might just help us appreciate our lives today.
I think everyone who has come here has learned a little bit, whether it be why we have amethyst glass or learning about how the enslaved people here live, but everybody takes away a little something. Hopefully appreciation for history as well.
Riverside hosts a variety of events. You can learn more by calling 935-6809.
You learn how to lead, you learn how to follow, deal with the public, most importantly, showing up every day, right? This is not like an optional thing.
These are valuable skills we learn at our first jobs, and this year's SummerWorks program aims to connect more youth with job experience and a little extra cash. Companies like UPS and Kindred are stepping up to employ students as young as 17 years old, even preparing them for future careers.
We know these jobs are critical building blocks for young people and for the health of our local economy because they create a pipeline of future talent for us that we need here within our community with this super low unemployment.
A donation of $2,500 creates a summer job at a nonprofit or city agency. If you'd like to donate to the fund, go to summerworks.org.
Right now, there are too many children in our community that don't have a bed to sleep in, something that most of us take for granted. They might be bouncing between shelters, maybe they sleep on an air mattress or they're couch surfing. We all agree that that is not acceptable here in our city of compassion.
That's why volunteers are building beds, so more kids in the community have a warm, safe place of their own to sleep. It's just one of many projects planned for this year's Give-A-Day Week of Service, this April 16th to the 24th.
The beauty of the Mayor's initiative is that it encourages us to collaborate with others across the community and recognize the power that we have collectively to help others when we pool our efforts, when we work together.
166 volunteers and acts of compassion were recorded during last year's Give-A-Day Week of Service. To learn more about volunteer opportunities, go to mygiveaday.com. While Give-A-Day only lasts a week, you can make a difference in the life of a child through the Metro Mentors program.
When Newburgh decided that they wanted to promote a Metro mentoring program, we all connected the dots and collaborated to get more matches out here.
One of the Metro Mentor matches is from the Department of Community Services and Revitalization. Big sister, Erlene Woodson,
hi, Tammy,
meets up with her little brother every Thursday at Newburgh Middle School.
I'm here to see a Kivian.
We base our matching based on preferences, personalities, and desired goals.
Hey, Kivian, you have any books?
Yes, ma'am. If the preferences match, we will do cross-gender matching, like Erlene and Akivion's match.
You can always let me know. First, when I selected to be a big sister, my anticipation was that I would work with a girl. It ended up that they didn't have enough volunteers, so I ended up with Akivian, and he has been a joy.
You see that he tried, and look where he is. Look how many books he wrote.
He's kind of was leery a little bit, but we just got to be able to know each other on the respect that I'm here for him, and whatever we talk about would be that one-on-one. And that's how we ended up making it work.
She feels where I'm coming from, how she's going to help me, and what does she need to do, what do I need to do.
Look at where you're reading about this person now, then he can make a difference in your life.
The children benefit having the one-on-one time to focus on educational needs, social skills, increase self-esteem. The mentors frequently tell me that they just know that it's worthwhile knowing that they're spending one-on-one time with a child in the community who needs a trusting adult in their life.
I told half of my friends what I be doing. They'd be like, I wish I could be in a type of group program. And I was like, I've been signing up for this since 6th grade, and 6th grade, 7th grade, and it's been helping me a lot.
It's the mayor's desire to facilitate a more diverse and caring community where we all come together and support one another. I can't think of a better way to facilitate that than through mentoring, having the one-on-one time with an adult and a child together.
If I was in it, y'all would love it.
We recently told you about a local effort to help the children of Flint, Michigan, whose health is impacted by unsafe drinking water. In February, Louisvillians cleaned out their closets and made donations totaling $31,000 to help support the children of Flint. So far, more than $2 million in donations has been raised for the Community Foundation of Greater Flint's Child Health and Development Fund, and they're still accepting donations at cfgf.org. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the 502 Report. Until next time, take care.
Metro TV, a public service of Louisville Metro government.